You're listening to the Options Insider Radio Network. For more quality options programs, visit www.theoptionsinsider.com or search for Options Insider Radio Network in your podcast provider of choice. Listeners can also access all of our programming through our mobile app, available in iTunes and on Google Play. Don't forget to follow along with your favorite programs and submit your own questions for the hosts at twitter.com/options. Facebook.com/TheOptionsInsider or via questions at TheOptionsInsider.com.
Join us now for the expert source for inside information on the options markets. It's time for Options Insider Radio with your host, Mark Longo.
Welcome back to Options Insider Radio, the interview program here on the old network where we welcome on guests from throughout the world of options and derivatives and proceed to pick their brains for the benefit of you, the listener. My name is Mark Longo from the OptionsInsider.com, as well as, of course, from the ever-exciting Options Insider Radio Network. If I sound a little bit different, if you hear a little bit of background noise and people talking, it's because we're not at our studio in Chicago. No, we're down the street at the Trading Show Chicago here, where we're getting the lay of the land on all sorts of interesting new ventures and asset classes and all sorts of fun stuff, and having a great slate of new guests lined up, including our next two guests. They're newcomers to the network. We have Joshua Ho and Darius Sitt, the partner and managing partner at QCP Capital. Gentlemen, welcome to the network.
Thank you.
Let's go in order. Maybe Joshua, will start with you, and then Darius, the same question. But give us a little bit of an overview of your background in the financial space, and then one or maybe both of you can tell us what the heck it is you guys do over there at QCP Capital.
Sure thing. I'll start. This is Josh here. So I come from a legal background originally.
Let's end this show right now. I'm sorry. No lawyers on my
So
network.
I just make sure that whatever Darius does is kosher. That being said, I come from a...
Do they allow lawyers in the crypto space? I didn't know they were allowed.
They keep us in the dark and, they feed it. We're like mushrooms. Essentially, I take care of the ops and growth at QCP. We're a prop trading firm based out of Singapore, focused entirely on digital assets. I've taken a longer view on the space, having started around 2014. Overheard someone talking about Bitcoin and started taking a closer look at the space. And
hopefully you bought and held all the way through the end of 2017. That's what everyone did, right?
Yeah, I think for us, we're a little more actively managed. I'll let Darius tell you a little bit more himself and the firm.
Well, Darius, same question for you. Give us a little bit of an overview of your background and what it is you do at QCP.
So I come from a macro trading background. I started my career at a macro fund in Singapore called Diamond Asia. And after that was trading Asia FX and bonds at BNP Paribas. Started the crypto space from a pure capital markets perspective. We started doing the arbitrage in early 2017. And right now, we are a 30-man team out of Singapore, focused on proprietary trading as well as running an OTC desk. The proprietary desk is focused a lot on local markets and local currency markets in Asia, as well as derivatives. So we run a fairly large Bitcoin and Ether options and swaps book.
Interesting. Yeah, we've had a lot of guests on that, come from all different aspects of the crypto space. I'm trying to think. I think you're the first we've had on from Singapore. So I'm kind of curious. Give our audience a little bit of an overview, a little bit of the lay of the land. What is the burgeoning crypto scene in Singapore? What is it like? Are there a lot of funds? Are they trading a lot of different things? What's it like over there?
So Singapore has become a bit of an epicenter for crypto projects because the regulations are friendly for ICO projects and other types of crypto projects. The banking is a bit easier than Hong Kong as well. So Hong Kong tends to be a bit more trading focused crypto-wise, where Singapore tends to house a lot of these projects. And Singapore also has planned regulations to somewhat legalize crypto, and that makes it easier for us as well. So it's a good place to be. It's like it's traditionally the FX center of Asia, and I think it's very fast becoming the crypto center of Asia as well.
That you mentioned kind of the regulation. Obviously, China kind of cracking down a lot these days. Has that driven a lot of the business, a lot of the impetus your way?
Yes and no. the crackdown in China is I would say that there is a crackdown, but at the same time, there's a lot of activity in crypto in China. A lot of it is done through personal accounts, and the network is really wide. So I would say even though there's a crackdown, the activity is really still at a high.
And obviously, we're here in Chicago at the trading show. A lot of crypto talk going on here. What is it? Obviously, talking to me is a big deal, but aside from that, what is it that brings you all the way to Chicago here to the crypto, or to the trading show, I should say?
Actually, one of the main reasons why we're here is we helped to organize a sort of mini conference called Crypto OTC Roundtable Asia. Even though it's Asia, we sort of, what we did is we brought a lot of the big dealers in the space together to discuss how to further the derivative space in crypto. So, something like discussing and coming up with a crypto ISDA CSA in order to have standardization and scale in the derivative space in crypto.
And how is that project progressing? Obviously, that's near and dear to our hearts. We come to the crypto space from the derivative side. We had a lot of good conversations with firms like Acuna and others to kind of give us a good glimpse into the OTC option side of the Bitcoin and crypto space. How are those talks? How is that conference? How is that progressing? Is there some movement on that front?
Oh, very good progress, right? The first conference was held in Singapore, a core group of OTC dealers. This is the second meeting that we've had. It was sponsored by Silvergate, and a much wider and broader audience. The discussion was a lot deeper as well. Moving on from discussing like settlements to talking about defaults, talking about KYC standards. I think it's very useful for us in terms of expanding the market. And I think the one important thing here is that the current space is a lot of bilateral dealing. We do with Acuna a lot as well. But if the space is to scale and grow, we need to be able to novate between parties, to be able to deal beyond just bilateral contracts, right? So we're trying to create a whole market here for both swaps and options.
And, it has been fascinating. We like to see the growth in that. Are you as surprised as I am? In the hot and heavy days of late 2017, early 2018, when Bitcoin was racing to 20,000, CME and CBOE were racing each other to list the futures. It seemed like a no-brainer that listed options were coming next, right? That was it was going to happen. We were polling our audience. Most of them were going to happen in Q1. That's how fast they thought it was going to happen. Here we are, a year and change later. It still hasn't happened. In fact, we've seen CBOE getting out of that business now, and then we're hearing rumors of maybe some opening of the kimono at the CFTC here in terms of maybe ETH futures and things like that, but still no options. Are you as surprised as I am, at least for here in the domestic U.S., that we haven't been quicker to maybe on the uptake with some of these derivatives products?
Well, I come from an FX trading background, and I've always felt that crypto was more like FX than equity derivatives, for example, more like FX than equities or commodities, in that to this day, FX is still largely traded OTC, and FX options are like 99% OTC. You don't have listed FX options, right? I tend to think that crypto will take the same path. And to answer your question, no, I'm not surprised. Even in the spot markets, the OTC markets still tend to dominate, and I think it would be the same for derivatives in crypto.
And in terms of like the size players out there, the institutions that are using a lot of your OTC desk, what's it been like dealing with them over the last, let's say, year and change? Obviously, coming into last year, we saw the pronounced sell-off in most of the crypto assets. It was, I think, disheartening, I think, to say the least, to a lot of the players out there. Did you see that anecdotally as well from a lot of the funds and other players? Did your volume maybe on the OTC desk, on the option side, maybe did that start to dry up as a result? And maybe conversely, in the last month and a half that we've seen, the worm turn a little bit and start to shift to the upside, has it picked up again?
Well, maybe let me answer this from an Asian perspective, because while the crypto markets were experiencing a winter, so to speak, our volumes on the desk actually went up, but not particularly in Bitcoin or Ether or other tokens, but stablecoin. So Asia is stablecoin land. It's a region where the countries have capital controls, and monetary mobility is a problem. So the fundamental utility of crypto actually comes up very strongly in Asia, and through stablecoin. So if you compare an Asian OTC desk to an European OTC desk or an American OTC desk, you'd see that while the American or European desks tend to have probably 70-80% of the volume in tokens or coins. In Asia, it tends to be dominated by stablecoin. And it's become a conventional means of moving money between cross-border. And so, that I think that as the crypto winter took a turn, what we saw was a fundamental drawback to the core utility of monetary mobility. And that actually we saw an expansion of that rather than a shrinkage. And that was very encouraging for us. So the market was actually growing. I mean, adoption was growing as well. If you go to Hong Kong, you go to the money changers, you can actually trade Tether on the spot physically. That kind of adoption, I don't think, I think there's very deep adoption and it's very encouraging for us crypto players.
Was Tether the biggest one you got outside of Bitcoin? You mentioned which of these stable coins was the one that was really the lion's share of your activity there?
Yeah, I think Tether definitely dominates. I mean, even with negative headlines.
I was going to say, with all the negative blowback it got over the last year, that didn't impact it at all?
So, just an interesting point here is that, while Tether has had negative headlines in the last week or so, in China it's still trading at premium. So, the adoption is very, very strong in Asia, and it's picking up and growing as well. So, so Tether and, other coins like USDC, PAX, TUSD are coming up as well. So we've been seeing increasing amounts of trading in these in like countries like Korea, Indonesia, and I think, we'll continue to see that grow as well.
Speaking of controversies, obviously there was a controversy over a year ago now, wasn't it, with that Tether was being used to manipulate Bitcoin in the run up to 20,000. Now the latest controversial data in the last month and a half seems to be this report out of Bitwise. You're probably familiar with it, that says effectively 95% of the marketplace, the volume as we know it, is fraudulent, is duplicitous. I'm curious, you transact in this marketplace every day. What are your thoughts on those numbers they're throwing around? Do you think there is some truth to those?
I'm not sure about 95%, but the market, I mean, it's nothing to do with fraud per se, but it's just the fact that the market is small. I mean, even with this run-up, the entire crypto spot market is below $200 billion. I mean, compared to traditional assets, that's tiny. So it's not about, I don't think it's about fraudulent, but it's just that the size of the market gets it easily manipulated and cornered. So, I don't think it's something that we just have to deal with, right? Especially on the option side, where if you look at 2019, the first 3 months, you might assume that Bitcoin vol has come down and the market's matured, but in April you suddenly see a spike up. Just from maybe a couple $100 movement, right? The market is just too small. So I think it's a matter of size, and that's why we actually focusing a lot more on derivatives, because we think that options, swaps, yield products, leverage products are a means for the market to scale up from its tiny size at the moment.
I know obviously this is a crypto-oriented show. You guys do a lot with crypto, but obviously you're a prop shop there. You trade a lot of things over there in Singapore. I'm curious too. Give us a little bit of an overview of the Singaporean options scene, if you will. There are a lot of firms, a lot of market. How's the market making scene there? A lot of funds trading it. What's it like on the options side there in Singapore?
Well, I mean, we trade only crypto, but I guess Singapore has a decent number of funds that do trade derivatives and FX and other commodities and whatnot. I think pretty similar to Hong Kong. The regulatory environment is pretty friendly. The tax environment is pretty friendly as well. I wouldn't say nothing too special, but I started my career at a fund in Singapore, so I think it's a pretty decent place to trade.
And, obviously you're involved in some of these organizations that are out there, fostering and supporting the crypto derivative space. We like to leave our audience on a happy note, wanting more, something fun, a tease. So maybe looking down the road a little bit, maybe some of these organizations you're involved with, what are you looking forward to? What can you expect in the next coming, 3 to 6 months on the crypto derivatives front? That is maybe exciting to you, maybe a regulatory, maybe a contract, something else coming online. What is it that gets you excited these days?
So, I mean, one of the things that we are very excited about is what we're seeing as something like bridging between the crypto world and the real world. Traditional assets. Yes. I think there's been a big move globally and in Singapore as well of mature companies that are looking for non-bank financing. At the same time, you have crypto balance sheet guys who are looking for yield, and it's a great match, right? It's a great match for guys looking for yield and to invest in good projects, in credit products that are that have proper due diligence done, and with the credit risk properly priced. I think that's something that we've been focusing on, trying to bridge those two worlds, and that's where swaps come into play very, very importantly. To be able to have a proper system, margining system, collateral system to execute these swaps, and you have it's a win-win situation, right? You're going to bring traditional market scale into the crypto space. At the same time, you're going to bring proper yield for the crypto guys as well.
That's right. Swaps seem like a good starting point. They're very prevalent overseas. The regulation, they're a little bit easier from a regulatory perspective than an actual option. So there's a lot of nice, fewer moving parts on the swap that could get hung up on. Well, gentlemen, this is great to kind of catch up with you, have you guys give us a little bit of an overview of the lay of the land of the burgeoning crypto scene there in Singapore. And maybe for some of our audience wants to reach out to you, maybe they have some questions, maybe they're trading in the space, they want to engage with you guys. Maybe they just want to learn more about what you guys do. Where should they go? What should they do?
You can reach us on our website, QCP.capital, or hit us up on Twitter at QCP Capital as well.
.capital, the .capital domain. I like that. Not a frequently seen one, but I like it. Well, Joshua and Darius, I appreciate you guys joining us. I'll look forward to seeing how some of this bridging unfolds in the marketplace here in the coming months.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
The preceding program was a production of the Options Insider Radio Network. For more quality options programs, visit www.theoptionsinsider.com or search for Options Insider Radio Network in your podcast provider of choice. Listeners can also access all of our programming through our mobile app, available in iTunes and on Google Play. Don't forget to follow along with your favorite programs and submit your own questions for the hosts at twitter.com/options, facebook.com/The Options Insider, or via questions at theoptionsinsider.com.